Welcome to Amazon Answers. I am Jared, and today we are discussing what is quite possibly one of my favorite series to ever come out of the new 52, Superman Wonder Woman by Charles Soule. And again, I have to stress this. I mean Charles Soule, because Tomasi's run after this is garbage. So I tell people, you want to see Superman and Wonder Woman in the new 52, act like Superman and Wonder Woman, read the first two volumes of this. After, it just goes all downhill. But so let's get started with this. So here's the interesting thing about this series. This was a really surprise hit because they put this book together probably for marketing purposes, because one of the chief things that they did with the new 52 was they put Superman and Wonder Woman together, as we all know. Hell, Britt and I have the podcast about it. So what DC did is threw together this book, put Charles Soule and Tony Daniel on it, and put it out in the world. It was like one of the top selling books at DC for like ever. And it's to the point where when I was checking this out, this is why Britt and I are so aligned with Charles Soule being the Wonder Woman writer, because this man gets it. Like, remarkable. He is one of the writers at DC, well, that used to be at DC, that completely understands Diana. Hey, what's up, Cameron? So let's flip through the first, and all right, so let's go through this then. So we have by Charles Soule, Power Couple. Yes, this is the book that is like them as a couple, which is super dope. Hey, what's up, NJ? And we see Wonder Woman fighting Doomsday in this, which we don't see that much. In this issue, they're going to go like stop a hurricane. And it's like Superman is good at like avoiding storms. He sees like a creature coming out of it. And then the other thing that we learn is like, so Clark had left the Daily Planet with Cat Grant, and they formed their own like news site and everything. But they struggled to like get it off the ground. And at the same time, so here's the way Soule gets Diana really well. It's like, look, when it comes to like to these two, and this is why when people say they're too similar, I disagree, because when you look at Diana, she's not used to having a private life. And because remember, she really doesn't have a secret identity, as in the case, even in the Rucker run, Bruce and Cab make a good team. That would be interesting. But I meant Clark. Okay, yeah. But the thing about this that's interesting is because remember, even in the Rucker run and Jimenez, when she had like the embassy, she wasn't like an ambassador. The Diana Prince identity is not really hasn't been a thing for a while. That's the frustrating part about the King run naming Elizabeth Marston Prince, because that's not her, like, that's not Diana's last name. So what are you even doing? But it's essentially, see, in this run, it's like, again, because Diana is used to like embracing all that she is, and she encourages Clark to come out of his shell, as in the case of this series. And it's like, she's not used to like keeping secrets and such, which that works because of the Agent of Truth and stuff. And it's like she wants to teach Clark like how to fight and such. And I love this dialogue. So she like fights. She's fighting Doomsday, and it's like her arms are like essentially broken, and she's like, I just need to like I need to fly. Your arms aren't your only weapons. And I just love the inner dialogue of like a warrior, and that's what Soule really gets. Doomsday vanishes, and what I love about this is that essentially, so this was also the first appearance of Doomsday in the new 52. So obviously we're all like, okay, are they gonna kill Clark? They don't yet. They do end up killing this Clark, but for altogether more contrived reasons. But with this, it's like Diana basically says, you're not going to face Doomsday alone. Yeah. And so she brings him to meet Hephaestus, and Hephaestus is supposed to has made like all the god weapons. He made Diana's armor. So in other words, Diana's like, if there's one person that can help you make a weapon that's going to like fight this unstoppable creature, it's Hephaestus. And I like where Hephaestus is trying to test how strong Clark is. So he just swings his hammer and Clark just catches it and it takes him to the forge. And then we meet Diana's brother, Apollo, and Strife. And then this is really funny because it's like Apollo says something really like misogynistic about Diana, and then I love Clark's line. He goes, "You're a god, right? Good, because normally when I have to punch someone, I have to hold back, but you're a god, so you could take it. So I'm just gonna punch you." He does, and then Clark goes, "You don't know that much about me, do you?" When he blasts him with sunlight. Now, the part about Diana that I really love about this is the sassiness, because it's like when Clark goes, "Before you say anything, I know you could have handled that." And then Diana says, "True, but I enjoyed watching it." And I'm like, "Oh, that's great." So continuing on, now we see that like Diana's essentially learning how to be a girlfriend from Hesha, one of the Amazons that has lived in man's world for so long. So she essentially learns the purpose of Christmas, like getting a gift for your loved one. But again, the Christmas part is just the way I took it, a like analogy or a stand-in for like Diana, like learning how to be in a relationship, because at this point the only relationship she had been in was Steve Trevor, and that rightly exploded like a dying star. And I'm skipping through all the Clark stuff because this is really a Diana podcast, but we'll come back to that if you guys want. And I also love, so we see Zod and stuff, but the thing that I really dug about this series is that we saw Diana meet Clark's world and Clark's world meet Diana. And that's like one of the key parts that this series does great. Because whenever the detractors talk about Clark and Diana as a couple, they talk about how she just becomes Superman's girlfriend. And I go, you clearly didn't read the book, because that never happens. And it's like, and the other thing, this is the great part about Diana, and proves that like she really knows him. So her Christmas present, which she wants to give to Clark early, is just time. Meaning, I got you essentially the day off from being a superhero, so we can be together. And I go, okay, that's really dope. I like that. And then we also have Diana being like an advisor to Clark and basically saying, look, don't focus on what the world is saying. Focus on me. Would it really is it really a bad thing that the world found out about us? Yes, because the world, what you learn is that I'm not gonna bury the lead. Hesha had leaked to Kat that Superman and Wonder Woman were a couple, so that they could like be together openly. And it's like Diana and Clark don't know that yet. But again, what I like about this is like this is what Diana brings to the relationship, and this is what Diana brings. Well, period. Because the thing about Diana is, as I've said many times before, one of the reasons why the Trinity works as the leaders of the DC universe is because they each represent like a third of what it takes to be a superhero. Superman's hope, Batman's justice, and Wonder Woman is truth. Now, truth is very important, because when you take into account that without truth, there's no real justice, and you can't have hope if you're not true to yourself. So in a way, Wonder Woman is making Superman more Superman. She is elevating him, because it's like she's like, no, she's like, you should be true to yourself and who you are. Embrace being a Kryptonian, because it's part of what makes you unique and such. And that's the thing about like why I don't like Lois, because Lois encourages Clark to go too far in the humanity direction. I know Robert would disagree with me, but that's kind of the way I see it. And Diana encourages him to attain that balance there. Before anyone says anything, Diana doesn't need to be humanized. And then, so what we see here is I'm continuing on. So what's really cool about this? Sadly, DC sees her as a useless third wheel nowadays. Yeah, exactly. I had a Trinity books in 2018. Yeah, a Trinity book would actually be an interesting idea on that, NJ. So what's really cool about this book, I'm gonna. I love this scene. Diana visits Hesh's dojo, and I love this. Where like Hesh is like, "Children, this is my sister Diana. She is going to tell you something very important that you will never forget, right?" And she goes, "Yes." And then I like it's showing Diana being an inspiration to girls, and that's again Soule gets this. Because not only does he write the warrior side of Diana, but this is him writing the diplomat slash inspiration without having the embassy. Because obviously the embassy did not exist at this point. And I just love this of them like in combat and stuff. And actually Hesha dressed as a gladiator. That was kind of cool. And then I don't know. DC is glitching out right now. And so then Diana goes back to Themyscira and she talks with the statue of her mother. And one of the things that she says is, look, she's basically saying, I don't know if I can live with like a private life. I'm not used to doubting myself like this. And it is kind of interesting here because it's like, now, I do wish, this is my one problem, not with Charles Sewell's book, but with the New 52 in general. I wish Clark had met Hippolyta before she was put to stone because I always liked that little interaction. But anyway, it's like she essentially is like, look, Clark is one of the best people I know, but I don't know if I can. We have this fundamental disagreement on having like a private life, and I don't know if I can do that. And I really like that small amount of doubt in there. And then Diana fights a creature on the Themyscira. And by the way, Tony Daniels' art in this is just utterly incredible. Just look at that. The way he like fights, the way he shows monsters and bloodshed. Oh, Tony Daniel was like on fire nowadays with like at this point with like Deathstroke and this. And it was really, really, really dope. Then we see Feora coming after being released from the Phantom Zone. Then I love this because essentially what this book turns into, what Volume 1 turns into, is Superman Wonder Woman versus evil Superman Wonder Woman. And what I dig about this is Diana fights two Kryptonians at once, not only kicks their asses, but so Zod tries to shoot heat vision at him, at like Diana. She blocks it with her sword and then like presses the burning blade into Feora's face, burning half her face. Like, look at that. And I'm like, I didn't that is really interesting. And here's the other thing. It shows the other thing that's really cool about this detail is because Diana wants to learn more about like Clark's culture. She learns his language, which I'm like, okay, that's really sweet. It's the minor things that work really well. And essentially, before the final battle, Clark is like, look, I've been going through this. All I can think about right now is how to protect you, which obviously he knows that she could protect herself, but it's that. And Diana, and she says, look, do you think we were better at being superheroes before we were together? And Diana says, Clark, if I thought that we wouldn't be together, because here's the thing, here's what everyone has to understand. And this is the piece of Wonder Woman lore that this book explicitly establishes and solidifies. And even in Volume 2, with Superman and Wonder Woman, and this is the fundamental flaw of Tom King saying that Diana loves Steve more than the world and such, and making other people do her fighting. Because with Diana and Superman, but Diana particularly, hey, what's up, Britt? And I'll play your intro because you're in the chat, so I might as well. Hang on. Let me get to your intro.
He's back.
folks couldn't take an actual mature relationship that actually showed it wasn't predictable. Yeah, exactly. But it's like, here's the fundamental point, the thesis statement of Superman Wonder Woman by Charles Soule. The world comes first. And they established that in volume 2 when Brainiac invades and Lois in essentially Superman goes off to like fight, and Lois asks Diana, "Aren't you going to go with him?" And then Diana says, "He will call me if he needs me, but currently, like, the world needs me." And then Lois basically asks, "Is that like an understanding, a deal you two made?" And then Diana goes, "It's really more of a informal, like we never had this conversation. However, the understanding that they have is no matter what, the safety of the world will always come first." That's why with this statement, it's more of, no, we can save the world. We can balance the two together. Whereas when like, oh, she loves Steve Trevor more than the entire world, that is a fundamental misunderstanding of Diana's priorities, including when she sat on her ass for days, mourning Steve, building 2 statues that look horrible. So that's the point there. It's like, no, she would mourn, obviously, for an appropriate amount of time because she is still human, if you will. However, she wouldn't like let other people do her job for her because she is the champion of the Amazon. She wouldn't send the Wonder Girls to like fight while she builds a statue to Steve. That is a fundamental That's why the latter half of the Sovereign story utterly fall apart and undermine the first half. But anyway, what I like about this, so Diana and Clark go to see Hephaestus, and Hephaestus fits them with armor and his chariot, which is basically an invisible chariot. And I just love how this is done. They do this sometimes with the invisible jet, and some writers actually show like a transparent jet, but I love this where no, it's just like they're on something because part of them are covered. And by the way, I adore the armor that Hephaestus makes them. Like, look at that. That is some of the coolest. And I'm surprised that we never got a McFarlane action figure for that. So the couples fight, and what I love about this, so the way the armor works, the gimmick is when you like hit them, it essentially like in Black Panther, where like you could hit Black Panther and like you'll store all that kinetic energy and then you can expel it. It's that, and the way it's activated, so that they take the force of 100 blows and then they grab hands and then the armor blasts off, but the blast hits them. The force of like 100 blows hits Zot and Feora and knocks them back. And then Apollo, being the pretentious D-bag that he is, repowers Zod and Feora, and they fight, but then they beat Superman and Wonder Woman and put them in the silo. And again, the world comes first because the idea where, okay, so Diana takes her sword, and it's the idea that, okay, so they're in a nuclear reactor, meaning there are nuclear atoms around each other. And this is like one of the best moments in the book. Not just because the I love you, but it's because what this represents. Because as you can see, so Superman can use his microscopic vision to see like the atoms, and Diana can like use her sword to cut it. But it's like he guides her while she cuts it. And again, this gets into the theme of for Diana, the world will always come first, up into and including her life, because they don't know if they can survive this. But it's essentially like Diana saying, no, we can do, we're better together. And they like slice the atom and cause a nuclear explosion. And Diana wakes up first and like scouts out. But it's like that's the thing about this series, is like it's a fundamental understanding of these two characters. Like you get the core of who these characters are, and it's it's one of those series is that you can read this and it feels like it's just younger Superman, regular Superman and Wonder Woman. It doesn't feel like the overly brutal, well, not really overly brutal, but with the way some people accuse of being overly brutal. Then we get this part, and I'm going to say this. This is why, again, the Tomasi Superman Wonder Woman run is utter garbage. Because in this, at this point in the canon, Diana has become the god of war. And so Clark is interested in it. And it's like, how does that work and stuff? And she goes, no, I understand war and stuff. Maybe I can make war the absolute last resort. And Clark is like, I'm all for that. So he's supportive, right? What does Tomasi have him do when he finds out that when Superman finds out that Diana's the god of war? He's like, why didn't you tell me? I don't know who you are anymore. It's like he just adds in all this artificial drama that doesn't deserve to exist in this book. And it's just like, what? What is this? And it's just horrible. And then they go dancing. And again, this is showing their character development. Clark is more outgoing, going like out to clubs and stuff. And Diana is more embracing being Diana and not just Wonder Woman. And that's volume 1. Did you like her home turf being London? I personally like Gateway City as her home. I'm fine either way. They made it work either way. So they made London work, and it's like it's unique, and it's like something that's like new, but it's not like it really undermined a lot of stuff. So that's why I'm like, okay, that works. Then we get to the War and Peace arc, and here's the thing. This volume is not as good as the first one because the first one tells a single story. However, volume 2 gets into the doomsday like virus part, and it starts to get a little wonky in terms of like if you're reading the trade, it's like all these things happen in between issues. But so then we see Diana, and again, Superman is turning into Doomsday. So Diana's there to like talk him through this. And again, it proves that like I guess Diana is the best like talker, and I really I dig this. And it's like it's also because Diana still hasn't said I love you back, so she's still struggling with like being in that type of relationship. And and it also shows like what her being the god of war thing is, which is actually really cool because she can talk to like so any type of soldier, and it's like she can like order them around. So that's like that's the other thing I really like about Soule. He took the whole God of War like idea and expanded it and did a bunch of new stuff with it that I'm like, okay, that actually would work. And I love this image drawn by Tony Daniel of Diana just standing in the thing. And I love where Batman's trying to track down Doomsday, but Diana's like, no, let me talk about this. Let me talk to him about this, because if he goes crazy, I love where she goes, I have this. And then Batman's like, fine. And I really, really, really did. It's like Diana again saying, I'm not going to kill you. You are stronger than this. And it just further proves that like Diana is the peacemaker of this book. Peacemaker and not the annoying character, the maker of peace. And then in this one, we also have Superman is turning into Doomsday because to fight Doomsday, the government decided to like blanket the entire atmosphere in kryptonite because that's not going to cause issues. And what I like here is that Diana has Hestia try and go and heal Clark because Hestia was like an Amazonian doctor, and she flies and like attacks Superman because he's a monster. And what I dig there is that she learns, I was the one that revealed your relationship to the world. And Superman is just like, what? And then what I dig about this is the other part that's kind of cool because the Zeus origin is canon. But what they establish is that when Diana like takes off her gauntlets, her full power as the daughter of Zeus comes out, and then she has this blue aura. And I know that like the Zeus origin is controversial, but I do like this type of imagery with like is showing her get like all god powered up, and she like pulls him into like the atmosphere to like heal him, and then he essentially leaves Earth before he's attacked by the Red Lanterns. I'm gonna skip around here. I'm gonna try and find the world comes first part because that is the key portion of this series here. Oh, here we go. It's right here. Will you try and find him? No, Lois. If he needs me, he'll call. The world comes first always. Is that a deal is that like a deal you made? We never had to say it out loud, but we know. I think the moment that stops, so do we. In other words, the minute that our relationship starts to come before the world, Tom King, the relationship needs to stop. And that is, again, when people say that like this makes Diana just Clark's girlfriend or it like undermines her role as Wonder Woman, no, that it does the complete opposite. And it's like, look, they're telling you, no, the world is always going to come first. Even if that means we have to break up, if that's distracting from us being superheroes, that's the problem. It's strange that some fans think the world is first is bad. Those are the overly crazy shippers, my good friend. Those are the overly crazy shippers that just decide that, like, no, my ship / headcanon is all that matters. So that's where that goes. And then we also have the moment where like Superman returns and the plant that like Wonder Woman gave him that like Superman gave Wonder Woman turns into like a creature that Swamp Thing has to stop. And then this is the last issue written by Daniel, and I really dug this part because it's like, no matter what happens, we're ready for the future. And I go, oh boy, did we have it so well. Then we have a story about Diana being the god of war during a battle scene that I think that this was during like Future's End. And it was okay. It kind of came out of nowhere. But what I love about this is, so Diana's the god of war and she could talk to all these warriors. So she goes to fight. They should bring back God mode. It can still work in the Clay origin. Yes, it can, as a matter of fact, because you could just say it's just the manifestation of all of the powers that the gods have given her. It just comes out as like those powers. So you could still make it work if you applied yourself. And the part that I really love about this is like Diana knows that like the key to like holding off these forces is in that temple. So she goes there. Superman holds them off. And then Diana stops becoming the god of war, becomes the god of peace. And I gotta say, Diana in like a white and yellow uniform, I really, really, really like this look. Like if they wanted to change her colors, having her be white and gold actually works really well for me. What do you guys think? But yeah, so that's Charles Soule's Wonder Woman. And I know he's never, as far as I know, done a solo Wonder Woman run. I think he would do a fantastic job on it because he is one of the best writers that has ever touched Superman, but also Wonder Woman. Because it's like, again, he figured out a way to merge their worlds so effortlessly. And again, this will always be my bragging right item. I have the first issue CGC graded, signed by Charles Soule. And what's cool about this issue is that this cover has like their worlds together. So that's like Wonder Woman's world, and on the back is Superman's world. So they really got creative with this, merging their worlds. Because when you think about it, Superman works in a world with gods. Her white and golden suit is similar to the Red Sun anime movie. Yeah, exactly. That's probably where they were inspired by it, NJ. But the point here, it's like, because Steve Trevor really doesn't work in Wonder Woman's world anymore, I would argue. He if you want him to be like in a Men of War, like a military book, that's one thing. But he really just doesn't work as a member of Wonder Woman's world. Whereas with Superman, he does, because like his power level, he can fight the gods. I mean, he fought Apollo. And it's like you can do more with the story. Where arguably, at least the way he's been written, that they've been written currently, Diane and Steve's relationship, in fact, undermines the world comes first thing over and over and over again. And that's why some of the best modern runs were when they were broken up for 5 years. And this is why I will always sing the praises of of G. Willow Wilson, because she's the one that broke them up in her run. And you know what? They stayed broken up for like until King's Run, which I would love if they stayed broken up, because that it was a mistake bringing them back together. But yeah, so the other part about Charles Soule that I really like is particularly, it's like he understands like diplomacy and stuff, because remember, he was also a lawyer at the time. And it's like the more you read about this, the more it's like, okay, the more the series is actually enriched when you read more into that. But what questions do you guys have about Superman Wonder Woman by Charles Soule? Let's start with that. It's not just the powers, the character relationship thesis of Clark being in. Yes, exactly, that too. It's like, because here's the thing. This is why Wonder Bat will never work, no matter what Bruce Timm will have you say. Because the thing about Batman, he represents everything the Amazons say about men. However, Clark is the complete opposite of what the Amazons believe about men. It's like Clark has all the power in the world, and he still manages to like be the beacon of hope. Why did DC put him off the book? If it was doing well, they should have kept him on. Oh yeah, and Tony Daniel has been clear that like it wasn't because of sales, it's because they wanted to go in a different direction. The book was still selling well, but it's like DC decided, let's undermine a top-selling book in order to like fit our editorial direction, because at this point, 12 came out, and it's like they put Tomasi on it, and I can't prove this, but I have a strong suspicion that Tomasi deliberately sabotaged the book, because it's like you can't explain such a dramatic drop off in quality from like the first two volumes to this one. It's like, no, there is absolutely no way you can explain this. Why is DC dumb as F? Nostalgia, NJ, nostalgia. Because remember, this was pre-Rebirth, and Tomasi, as Britt so eloquently says it on our podcast, Tomasi was of the opinion that like, hey, no drama, no story. And I go, there was already drama in it. You didn't have to force in drama. And Tomasi was basically like, it's hard to write Diana because she demands the spotlight. And I go, so are you referencing when like you wrote, yeah, did different direction equals destroy the relationship? Exactly. Are you, Tomasi, are you referencing when like, it's kind of funny, him saying she demands spotlight. When you look at how he wrote Lois in Rebirth, guess what? She was like a standard like housewife that made pies. There wasn't like anything that like really set her apart. She was the generic housewife. Nostalgia ruining it, but they is ruining DC, but they keep ignoring. Yeah, exactly. If they did more, like again, look at what happened recently, the anti-nostalgia, if you will. We got the Absolute Universe. And look at what that's doing for DC. The dramatic increase in sales. In fact, it's been said, and I believe that like Robert heard from someone that DC sales were extremely bad across the board, and the Absolute Universe, much like the New 52 did back in the day, completely revitalized the company. And I go, yeah, it's almost like trying new stuff and not worrying about nostalgia actually like sells comics. That's why let me put it to you this way, guys. I started saying America, DC is a business first and not a charity because of this. Because there was no business decision to cancel this book. It was rated well, extremely well. It was selling very well. And Charles Soule reportedly had another volume in store that would have had. So the rumor is that the third rumor would have had the daughter of Superman and Wonder Woman come from the future, basically Cable style, to like stop an apocalypse, and she would have been stuck here, and that would have been the new 52 Donna Troy instead of the really like weird new 52 Donna Troy origin that they have. So that again, when you look at what they took from us, I'm like, oh, come on. That would have been awesome. But it's like, no, they just decided to sabotage one of their highest selling books because it was a creative status quo that they didn't want to do. I don't want it. They didn't want it. Even though it's selling well. And I got news for you. If the fans want it and continue to want it, guess what? You keep it going. That's how a business works. I don't care if you have writers in there that don't want to do it or that would rather Superman be with Lois. I got news for you. Compared to I'm going to say this. Compared to the audience, what the audience wants, the creative preferences doesn't matter. You have to go off of what the audience wants first. Then obviously with sales and stuff, you have to rectify that. But I'm saying this series had the sales and the critical reception, the fan reception. This had literally everything going for it, and they still took him off the book and like replaced it with someone that made it clear he doesn't like this relationship and wanted Clark to go back with Lois. And we all saw what happened there. Which is why, unless you guys vote for it, I probably won't be talking about the Soule run because even though I've talked about bad Wonder Woman runs in the past on this show, I would prefer not to. But if you guys want me to suffer, I'll put that on the list. But that's like my main like point here. Right. So what other questions about this series do you guys have about like villains, arcs, whatever you guys would like to know about it? But yeah, it's like nostalgia is the killer when it comes to no, let me put it this way. Nostalgia in and of itself is fine, but it's like an over reliance on nostalgia that is the problem when it comes to DC. It's an over reliance because again, you do want because it's like if you completely abandon these old age Silver Age writers need to go. That's one of the points that I've made. It's one of the opinions that I have is look, DC at a certain point, they should tell these writers either adhere to our status quo or you can't write the books. Like it was one of the what's the word? One of the writers, I forget who it is. I think it may have been Jurgens. And Britt, if you're still in the chat, you can tell me if it's Jurgens. So it's like it went to the point with like the new 52 armor. It's like he would deliberately not draw Superman like that because he didn't want to draw him like that. Like that's how like that's how deep it went. And that's why there were very few like creators I really respect because they're letting their own nostalgia get in the way of what the fans want. They're like, it's not the way it was when I wrote it, when I read comics. And I go, are we still in the era where you read comics? No. Is the book selling? Yes. Then I'm sorry. That should be the way that we have to go off of what the fans want first over creator preference. Because the fans want it. Guess what? That's the way it's supposed to be because the fans are buying your books. Like, I'm sorry. It's like, let me put it this way. You don't go to like any store and if you're running a store, like selling t-shirts or something like that, and someone comes up to you with the item they want to buy, you should go. You don't go, you don't want that. You don't want that. You shouldn't want that. No, you say, thank you for your business. Here is your item. That's the way it's supposed to work. But it's like, let me put it this way. It even makes sense from a business perspective at first why they put King on Wonder Woman. Because look, it's like because you had the somewhat forced excitement when it comes to what's the word? When it comes to like the Supergirl book. So they were probably like, hey, If he did this for Supergirl, maybe he can do it for Wonder Woman. He didn't, but that was like the business thinking that they were under, and that's why I get it to a degree. But it's like, look, it's like ultimately you guys gotta like, you gotta you gotta put your foot down with creatives and say, look, this is the editorial direction we're going under, and please don't sabotage it. But it's like we won't have that for a while because too many of these people are the same when it comes to nostalgia. But so what other questions do you guys have? Because remember, these these writers, NJ, on that are the same guys that have written Diana as the third wheel of DC for so long. That's like that's the way this works, ladies and gentlemen. It's just the way that this works. But so what other things do you guys have here? Brit says, Jurgens drew the suit ugly and complained about it on Twitter. Yeah. Well, actually, there was this other part when it was an error by Rags Morales. He drew the Superman suit without the collar. And I caught this when Robert and I were going over Action Comics because I was like, wait. Like, I'll try and find it. Let me get my Action Comics off the bus. Because it was somewhere here. So let me see this. All right. Because there was somewhere where they didn't draw the thing, and it was zoomed in on Clark's like face and neck, so it's not like I would miss that. Trying to find it. So he gets the armor. He throws on the armor, and let me skip here. So it's somewhere here, and yeah. The point is that they drew it weird, and it's like, yeah, but that's the way the Superman suit is now. It's like these writers keep wanting DC to always reflect their own like preferences, and I'm sorry, it can't always do that. DC needs to evolve. Which do you want to stay in the mainline Wonder Woman? Ares being Wonder Woman's father or Zeus being Wonder Woman's father? I prefer. That's neither of those are canon, by the way, so I don't know how they would stay. It's like Diana is the Clay origin now. That's canon. It has been proven when you put writers who care about her B tier even, it will sell well. Yeah, Absolute Wonder Woman, that's a good point, NJ. The Absolute Wonder Woman series 100% proves that if you put someone in there that knows how to modernize Wonder Woman, because that's the key part, because that's kind of what that was supposed to be. When you do that, guess what that leads to? You really like get a like. It really like allows it, and here's the key part, and it's what Britt and I are going to say on the Super Wonder episode tomorrow, that releases tomorrow. It's like when you look at like it's somehow the Superman, the Absolute Wonder Woman series manages to feel like a Wonder Woman series, like Wonder Woman, regular Wonder Woman, despite it obviously being a vastly different status quo than regular Wonder Woman. And that will never not be like completely shocking to me that somehow they made this work. It's utterly, utterly, utterly incredible that they can manage to make this work so well. What other questions do you guys have about Wonder Woman? Any questions that you guys want about Wonder Woman? It's the same story, but with it's the same Diana, but with a different backstory. Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. It's like, again, Kelly's like, no, I can't write Diana as female Kratos as it was originally supposed to be. So she's like, nah, I'm just going to write her as regular Diana, but in a different world. That's why this works so well and why it will continue to work so well, because it's like, it feels like you're just telling a regular in continuity Wonder Woman story, but obviously different. But it's like, it doesn't, compared to a lot of the different like Elseworlds Wonder Woman books I've read, like Dead Earth and stuff, that deviates from Wonder Woman's character a lot to a degree. It's still a good story, don't get me wrong. Earth 1 starts off strong and then completely falls apart at the end. But it's like, that still doesn't feel like main continuity Diana. This feels from a voice, like Diana's voice, like how she sounds, how she reacts, stuff. That is 100% Wonder Woman. It's like somehow they nail. It still utterly surprises me that Tom. It seems so effortlessly. It's probably harder than it looks, but it's like there has not been a single bad issue of absolute Wonder Woman, not a single one. Some of like Batman and Superman and the other absolute books have had issues where I'm like, I didn't like this one as much as previous ones or something like that, and that's going to happen with any series. But absolute Wonder Woman has been banger after banger after banger after banger after banger, and I'm like, what? And yes, NJ, I will back you up on this. Is like, if I were DC, I would at least offer her, hey, do you want to take over Wonder Woman? I mean, do you want to actually take over the main book, because we want to change it from it's like, do you want to write the main Wonder Woman book, because you're clearly good at doing it and people like it, and you can't tell me marketing it as like the Eisner Award winning writer who won it for writing a Wonder Woman book. You can't tell me that would not help the sales of the book. Like, I'm sorry, but the more that Absolute Wonder Woman continues to dominate, the more that becomes, the more likely I think it becomes. But that's just me. What do you guys think? Let me know what you guys think about Absolute Wonder Woman and such. And definitely be sure to check out the episode tomorrow, because Britt and I had a great conversation on that. It should be a fun Super Wonder episode. Yeah, but yeah. So any questions you guys have about Wonder Woman, anything you've ever wanted to get answered, you can 100% throw that in there. I mean, the show is called Amazon Answers after all. You can ask whatever questions you guys have. Any questions, whether or not that's about Wonder Woman, her world, DCU, whatever you guys would want to discuss, just go ahead and drop it. And by the way, NJ, before you ask, because I know you're going to ask this, we haven't gotten the sales yet for DC yet. As far as I know, we haven't. I'm looking at the sites right now, but as far as I know, on ICV2, we haven't gotten the sales reports yet, like for September. I think we're gonna get it this coming week, because normally around the first week or so is when they release them. But again, seeing as that this October starting in the middle of the week, it could be they're waiting for the first full week. But obviously, it would be hilarious if the sales reports come in, and then that's because remember, New York Comic Con is this week, so it is this week, and they're supposed to announce like which creatives are moving books, because from what I heard, it's across the line for like some books, not all the books. Like Superman, I think is fine. Green Lantern, I think, is fine. A few of the books are probably going to stay, like obviously Batman and such. But anyone that's like a longer going series that's not selling well, I think there is a possibility that like happens. That we do get like eventually him, King leaving Wonder Woman. It's possible. It's let me put it this way. I'm not going to say it's guaranteed to happen, but I'm not going to say it's not going to happen. I'm just going to say we don't know yet. And obviously, you know that if it's announced, obviously, Britt and I are going to do a segment on the live stream to talk about it because this coming Saturday is live. And by the way, this week, I want to give you guys this. Britt and I will be comparing the characters of Superman, of Wonder Woman to Jessica Cruz, Green Lantern. So I get to like geek out about Jessica Cruz some more. Praying we hear the good news of King leaving and killing the main book. Let's pray together, man. Yeah, exactly. I mean, let me put it this way. We'll see if Kelly is on the book. Right now, what I'm prioritizing is King not continuing his Wonder Woman run. If I'll take that as half a victory. Well, again, if it's Kelly on the main book, great. Continue. Then it's like the ideal situation has happened. But let's see what also happens. Let's see what happens, NJ, because it could be King stays on the book, or it could be he leaves and someone else like Adams comes on the book. That's what I'm going to say. But all I ask is that no matter who it is, even if it's not Kelly Thompson, we give the next Wonder Woman writer a legitimate chance to impress us, because it could be that like whoever it is, even if it's not Kelly Thompson, could really write a knockout Wonder Woman story. She's one of those characters that you just never know. You just never know here. But and again, I want to be clear. If it is Kelly, I'm going to be very happy right now. But what else do you guys like want to like talk about before I wrap up and start wrapping up the stream? Let me know. Man, with Kelly, we know we'll get a goated run. Right now, I'm trusting her. Yeah, no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that, yes, if Kelly is on the book, then there's about a 99.9% chance that it's going to be a fantastic book. So if it is her, I will be singing from the rooftops. You better believe I will be putting Wonder Woman back on my pull list for sure. And then obviously Britt and I will be covering it every week, and it's going to be really fun to talk about. But I'm just saying, again, I know where there's more of a risk with other writers. There's also a risk with Kelly. It could be she doesn't do the main universe that well. It's a very unlikely scenario, but I'm just saying, just be prepared for the just be prepared for the worst, because then it's like, hey, if you be prepared for the worst, you don't get disappointed. And if you be prepared for the worst, when the best happens, that's the best feeling in the world. And we will see what happens with that. But my point being, let's let everything like sit and ride. Obviously, this week we'll be getting many answers, whether or not it's like the King run ending or like Kelly moving to the main book. Because again, it's like the fact that at New York Comic Con, Scott said that in the lead up to New York Comic Con, Scott said that there's going to be lots of writers moving around, and there's going to be like some writers being elevated to higher profile assignments. So Kelly moving, obviously still doing Absolute Wonder Woman, but also doing the main book. That's a possibility. Maybe Jeremy Adams doing the main book, because I think he would do a fantastic Wonder Woman. He even has a pitch altogether. You never know. And it's like I get the thing where we're gonna see like a lot of change in the DC lineup in the coming weeks and months. But we'll see. All right, so if have you guys done your DCKO bracket? Because I did, and obviously I put Wonder Woman as the winner. I may be a little delusional, but hey, you never know. You never know. It's like again, I could be more of I could be just my optimist speaking, but I've been right before, and it would be very interesting if like February becomes the last issue of King's Wonder Woman. But it's like who knows at this point, ladies and gents, who knows? Who knows? But yeah, so let's get a couple of final questions in before we wrap up, and then we just go into the week. Any final points, questions, comments, whatever you wanna say here about Wonder Woman? Let's see. Diana seriously needs a win. Killing the main book is a huge win after everything. But yeah, exactly. I do agree with you on that. It's like, yeah, I'm like, Lord, just give us this one thing, please. Just give us this one thing so we can like have something to look forward to as it relates to Wonder Woman that's not just Absolute Wonder Woman, because Absolute Wonder Woman is great 100%, but it's like I also want more series. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, we'll see where we go with that. So I'm going to start the poll for next week's episode. So let's do that. Hope you guys enjoy the Charles Soule book. And there's no omnibus of the Superman Wonder Woman series yet, but I wish they would make that. So poll next week's episode. Let's do Tamaki. Let's do Wonder Woman 750, which is that special anniversary issue that like that like has a bunch of stories by different creators. Wonder Woman 800. Yeah, I'll add 800 to that list. And my Parasite saying Wonder Woman has more raw power than Superman when he touched her was freaking awesome. Yeah, exactly. And let's see, what else can we talk about? Let's do what's another series that we need to talk about? We can do. Let's do True Amazon. That's the book by Jill Thompson. All right. Poll is live. Go vote, people. We have the Tamaki run of Wonder Woman, which introduces Maxwell Lord's daughter. Wonder Woman 750, which is a big anniversary issue. Wonder Woman 800, which is another big one, but it has a bunch of really fun stories in there. Then we also have True Amazon, which I'll get the graphic novel out so I can show you guys. It's this book. True Amazon. It's also an Eisner winner. So let me know. So voting also protecting him and having his back when he was powerless. She sold the Suicide Squad. Yeah, exactly. That's awesome. I love that scene. But yeah. So be sure to vote. There's 5 of you watching right now. So let me know what you want next week's episode to be of those options. There's a wide variety of books. So far, Wonder Woman 800 is winning. dope. I can't wait because I love that book. But let's keep going with that. With one vote, Wonder Woman 800 is winning. Got one vote. All right, come on, guys. Let's get everyone voting. So, and Tamaki is now we have 2 votes, and Tamaki is tied with Wonder Woman 800. Okay, all good stuff. I'm fine with either of those. Let's keep voting. There's about 5 of you watching on YouTube right now, and if any of you watching on other platforms will want to vote, please go check out check the stream out on YouTube, and then cast your vote. And so far it's just 50-50 Tamaki and 800. If need be, I will I'll flip a coin between those two, and we can go off of that. Let's see. Let's see, ladies and gents, what other... Okay, so we have so far still 50-50. And any concluding thoughts before I begin the wrap-up? So while you guys vote and do the wrap-up, I'll go ahead and tell you guys. So tomorrow I'm releasing Super Wonder Legacy episode. I really hope Fate smiles upon us with Wonder Woman. Yeah, that would be really great. I would really love that. And so for tomorrow, Super Wonder Legacy is going to be uploaded at a new time from now on because my work schedule changed. So it's going to be up at... Let me see. Let me talk to... what did I do this with, Brett? It's going to be up at 10:30 a.m. from now on Mondays. I have to do it that way because I work now from noon to 8 p.m. on Monday, so I've had to like rearrange how I'm going to upload this, but the episode will be up here by 10:30, and then we can rock and roll with that. And yeah, so Wonder Woman Wednesday, I'm still thinking about what I want to do. What I may do is talk about all the amalgam comics for like Wonder Woman. That means Amazon, and then the Bullets and Bracers issue with like Steve Trevor being the Punisher. So we can talk about that. And then for Super Pals, Robert and I have to to talk about what we want to do this week. But and same thing for 2K. So no, a lot of it is like up in the air. But in terms of like movie night, we're going to be talking about Birds of Prey, the worst DCEU movie. And then for Super Wonder Legacy, Britt and I are going to be comparing the characters of Wonder Woman and Jessica Cruz Green Lantern to like talk about that. So that'll be really fun because I love Jessica, and it means I get to geek out about Green Lantern some more. That'll be really fun. And yeah, so that's where I think I am going to leave it, guys. So so let me okay, so it's only 2 votes. So okay, so this is what I'm gonna do. Short anyone of the 5 watching right now, you now have, I'll give you guys 10 seconds to vote before I flip a coin. Okay, and again, so it's either going to be between Tamaki or Wonder Woman 800. Let's do this. Come on, guys. All right. Okay, so let's do this. All right. So I'm going to end the vote, the voting poll. So it was 50-50 between Tamaki and Wonder Woman 800. So this is what I'm going to do. Flip a coin. Heads, it's Tamaki. Tails, it's Wonder Woman 800. So let's do this. 3, 2, 1, flip. Hang on. Okay, flip. It's flipping. It's flipping. Wonder Woman 800 it is. So we are going to be discussing Wonder Woman 800 next week. That's going to be really fun because I love that issue. And I also have it signed by Gal Gadot, so I can show that off next week. But yeah, so that's where I'm going to leave it. Stay heroic, everyone. Remember Steve Trevor, Steve Never. He belongs at the bottom of a hydraulic press. Zoe is the Max about for life. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.